Today's excerpt from True Ibiza Stories is Lunatic Spring. Springtime. It's in the air. William Burroughs sat quietly in his office upstairs at the City Lights bookstore. He was just sitting at his desk reading. As the sun sank slowly into the San Francisco sombrero, that was the Mission District. It glided over the Golden Gate Bridge, tucking in all the sweet songs of liberation. And as the sweat from the brow of the City Lights bookstore dripped like an exodus of life force bursting from the philosophical forehead of life's great marathon runner, I just walked upstairs to his desk and asked if I could sit down. He said, sure. And I had no idea what I was going to say. I just remembered that I felt I had to meet him, at least talk to him a little bit about Jack and On the Road and how much of an impact it had on me. We ended up just talking about Timothy Leary. I told him how I'd met him at a dead show in Oregon sometime before. I was struck by the fact that Tim was wearing fish shoes and a fish necktie. William told me stories of the old days and the travels, and my mind, as now, my mind began to drift in and out of surrealistic fantasy. The books that I had read and the stories and the films of the merry pranksters and the bus. It reminded me of those days before college and graduation at Marist. Tim Lydon, my senior year roommate, an avid Grateful Dead fan, convinced me that we should both travel cross-country like Kerouac and the boys, watching the people disappear in the rearview mirror behind us as we drove from one city to the next. Tim had a great big Chevy 4-door Impala. It was like a small studio apartment with like a living room and an engine attached. Like I remember that the Grateful Dead concert was going to coincide with the National Debate Championships, and it would provide me with a chance to kill two birds with one Impala. That being the case, I'd have to pack for several days because we were going cross-country. And with heavy cross-country road travel with my housemates, we knew there would be several days of psychedelic dead or alive fiesta. With the global dead-trotting traveling hipsies. Now, in our case, the global dead-trotting traveling hipsies were all of our friends that followed the Grateful Dead like mad freakazoids. And we'd finish up with several days of intercollegiate debate at the highest level, with my Hall of Fame debate coach, assistant coaches, the buckster, the team, and my mom. Yep, I said it, my mom. None of this would have been the least bit taxing had I not been conducting my own personal psychological experiment, and it was codenamed Lunatic Spring. Now, Lunatic Spring was the code name for our senior project, our house senior project, that is. All the roommates chipped in and we ordered a quarter pound of psilocybin, or magic mushrooms as they're called on the streets. They were Mexican cubenzis. They got mailed to us in the great big-ass box from Arizona. And for our final semester, since we lived off campus in a private house, we decided to throw free parties where we'd get our friends off their faces. And we'd come together as a senior class. Well, that's how it's supposed to work out. In theory, anyway. In practice, well, that was another story. The first order of business was preparing the house for the parties. So since Timmy and I had a walk-in closet in our little bedroom, I decided to make a walk-in art gallery. And since Salvador Dali was my favorite painter, I felt it'd be perfect to choose him as my artist of the spring. But first, we needed a backdrop. So we proceeded to acquire the largest American flag that the school had to fly. And let me tell you, it was huge. We used it as an unbroken canvas of wallpaper. It even covered the ceiling. Then, I took the complete works of Salvador Dali in hardcover and proceeded to carefully remove the works one by one by one with a razor blade. Then I strategically placed them in every part of the mini gallery possible. I even placed some of them on the ceiling. We had Mae West's living room, the persistence of memory. Actually, I had them all. I used leftover Christmas lights to illuminate the gallery. And that's right, once again, the star was born. Now only to test it. The thought of eating all those mushrooms cap by cap, stem by stem, was totally daunting, so we devised a solution for the digestion problem by making mushroom tea. That was just as powerful as you could add some lemon and some sugar, and then by eating little bits after the fact, it wasn't so bad. But the best of all was that the trip hit you in exactly 15 minutes, instead of the 45 minutes to an hour that it would last. Instead of 45 minutes to an hour, and it would last from 6 to 12 So basically, we were conducting scientific experiments in the field of human development. And like the pivotal scene in the film The Doors by Oliver Stone, the guitarist looks up at Jim and says, "Jim, we did drugs to expand our minds, bro, not to escape." I plugged in the Christmas lights, put on the kettle, Lunatic Spring was about to begin. I'm gonna get some water. We'll be back in the flash. We're going to cover segments and bits and chapters. And that's just one little snippet from the Lunatic Spring chapter. And that's the first time I've really read it like that. I need to get some water when I do that. But the story tells the picture, tells the picture, tells the story. And every picture tells a story, don't it? And that's why we named our band Stormy Donut. But that's another story. We'll be back in a flash.